Good morning, Engineer Hirondo. Good morning, our ever hardworking classmates. We are very delighted to discuss everything about construction project organization today. This report is brought to you by yours truly, Mariela Vienhinao, Jonas Eric Evangelista, and Princess Villanueva. For a start, let's take a look at the contents of our discussion. Firstly, we shall take a quick peek on project management. We shall proceed to the main topics, namely trends in modern management, project risk organization, and organization of project participants. I'm sure you are all excited too. Take a seat, grab your pens, and most importantly, lend us your ears. Dennis Waitley said, "Expect the best, plan for the worst, and prepare to be surprised." This is a good quotation which highlights our topic. Managing a construction project isn't a piece of cake, right? But great planning and strategizing, understanding different aspects of your organization, and thus catering your manpower to their expertise can yield to immeasurable results. And for that, let's start. Project management is simply the process of putting manpower in their respective and applicable job description and handling and directing them throughout the project. As the manager does this, the company's goals with regards to scope, cost, time, quality, and participation satisfaction is therefore achieved. If you know how to cook, well, you can easily understand the underlying ingredients of project management. As project management is our dish, its ingredients that should complement each other includes general management like the usual organization setup, special knowledge domains like knowledge of computer information systems, and of course, the supporting disciplines like engineering when managing a construction project. Once combined effectively, an outstanding project management can be achieved. Well, so much for that. Heads up because we will now tackle the trends in modern management. You know, management isn't just about using a single strategy to execute itself well. Because we may use the four approaches to management, which are management process approach, management science and decision support approach, behavioral science approach, and sustainable competitive advantage. We can treat them as siblings, right? But what do they mean anyway? Let's visit their meanings one by one. First, on the siblings, or the eldest, let's say, is the management process approach. Now, this approach studies the management functions in an organization thoroughly, in depth, from top to bottom, meticulously. This eldest sibling makes sure that planning, organizing, and controlling are all connected and in agreement with each other. Management process approach does its job by following three steps. All her life. Those are what she lives for. Firstly, she analyzes the different functions of the bodies in an organization. Let's say in budget, quality control, planning, etc. to be able to develop a framework for the entire project. It's like who will do what and what style of game plan can be done after that. Next step she does is to divide the manager's job into functional components. So we have learned the three types or levels of managers on engineering management, didn't we? And know that each of them has their own function. Same way applies to this second step. Because if we are able to assign functions to them, they will have their own set of principles for it and thus operational efficiency is improved. Lastly, If those managers are able to establish the relation between human and material resources in their respective level of expertise, they are able to have their philosophy with their work. It will be their guide, and that in turn shall make the manager win the support of his subordinates. Let's look at the organizational structure of a certain manufacturing company together. We can relate how the management process approach is applied here, as we are able to identify the different aspects of a company's structure, say marketing, production, and finance. The president shall assign VPs for each functions. He or she shall divide those in accordance to the background or expertise of that certain individual, right? Since the three of them have their own function, they can develop philosophies or perspective which will serve as the backbone of their respective function. Hence, they can work efficiently down to the lowest position in the structure. Well, I hope it's crystal clear to you, my classmates. Next sibling is the management science and decision support approach. This one is quite brainy as what we'd call it, because MSDS approach scientifically analyzes a problem and mathematically decides on what to do with it. It employs two characteristics: management science and decision support. Well, obviously, but what does this really mean? Let's analyze this simple equation. We have the decision support systems, which helps managers be informed with only what is relevant and needed information. Adding management science to it, which is basically a way for the manager to determine what are the objectives and constraints and to construct mathematical analysis models in solving complex problems of inventory, materials, and production control. We can have quantitative methods to aid managers in making complex decisions related to operations and production. Artificial intelligence has also begun to be applied to provide decision support systems for solving ill-structured problems in management. Well, there you have the management science and decision support approach. Now, let's get to know the third sibling. The behavioral science approach. This one gives off a friendly and social vibe. This is because this approach aims to study behaviors of human or a group itself towards management. The behavioral science approach for human resource development is important because management entails getting things done through the actions of people. An effective manager must understand the importance of human factors such as needs, drives, motivation, leadership, personality, behavior, and work groups. That's why there is a need to study what motivates an individual or a group as they interact with one another. Now, the major contributions made by the behavioral scientists to the field of management include the formulation of concepts and explanations about individual and group behavior in the organization, the empirical testing of the concepts methodically in many different experimental and field settings, and the establishment of actual managerial policies and decisions for operation based on the conceptual and methodical frameworks. Glad to meet this approach. But let's not forget the last sibling. Sustainable competitive advantage is the fighter. This sibling concentrates on strategies which will help the company attain sustainability. She is like the life-prolonging daughter of project management. The success of a strategy depends on doing many things, well, not just a few, and integrating among them. If there is no fit among activities, there is no distinctive strategy and little sustainability. So firms must have a strategic vision to guide their lifespan. So what we have to do is to create a unique and valuable position, make trade-offs compared to competitors, and create a fit among a company's activities. Project managers should be aware of the strategic position of their own organization and other organizations involved in the project. The manager faces the difficult task of trying to align the goals and strategies of the organizations to accomplish the project goals. For example, the owner of an industrial project's strategic goal is to first market with new products. In this case, facilities development must produce rapidly, right? As another example, a contracting firm may see their strategic advantage in new technologies and emphasize profit opportunities from value engineering. Well, now you know the different trends in modern management. Hope you had fun meeting the siblings. You may now proceed to the next topic.
Hi, I'm Jonas Eric Evangelista, and I am here to tackle what is Project Risk Organization is all about. Project risk in organization. Organizational risk refer to aspects of your company's overall resources and culture, which could impact your project's implementation. When listing your organizational risk, see if you have enough staff available to cover the time and effort it will take to complete your project. Here are four types of project risk: technical risk, external risk, organizational risk, and project management risk. Technical risk is anything that could go wrong with your software, hardware, or any manuals or other process documents related to your project. When listing your technical risk, consider whether you have enough computers, tablets, or other devices for everyone on your team. Ask if you have expert on your staff to resolve any software glitches that may arise, or if you have access to external vendors who could help. Also, review whether you created user-friendly reference guides for your project implementation. External risks are things that could go impact your project outside the organization's direct control. When listing your external risk, analyze the current state of your market. Consider what problems might occur with your subcontractor or suppliers. Review related local, state, and federal regulations that impact your company's field. Ask if your customers might change over time and how that would affect your project. Organizational risk refer to aspects of your company's overall resources and culture which could impact your project's implementation. When listing your organizational risk, see if you have enough staff available to cover the time and effort it will take to complete your project. Review whether your financial processes are functioning well enough to pay subcontractors in a timely fashion. Ask whether you have the budget available to implement your project as intended. Consider whether you have policies in place to know who will make decisions on critical project issues. Project management risks involve how the team directly working on your project operates and what internal aspects of your team could impact your project's success. When listing your project management risk, take a look at the culture and morale of your team and whether interpersonal issues could impact results. Review whether you have clear communication channel established between team members and if people know whom to turn to specific issues. Consider whether you have included everyone you need to in the planning phase of your project or if there are other voices you need to consult. Why is it important to analyze project risk? Well, project risk analysis is important because it helps project managers identify the weaknesses, strengths, and possible opportunities during or after completing a project. It is vital to list all unexpected events that might disturb the processes, resources, and technology in an ongoing project to curb or minimize losses. By analyzing the risk, management provides a platform to see the loopholes and seize the opportunities that come with those risks. The task involved in risk analysis requires a formidable force of qualified project manager and skilled technical staff to handle the risk within the capacity of their specific expertise. Here are 6 guidelines to solve project risks. First, identifying the risk. Prepare and review a list of all possible risks likely to disrupt the project. Ensure the key stakeholders understand the project's objective and design by conducting a series of brainstorming sessions. A conclusive report from the meeting should indicate all levels of risks. Prioritize and report the risks. Because the risks have varying impacts on the project, select and develop a workable mitigation strategy that can cause the highest loss. It is prudent to structure a scale and rank the risks to focus their input from the highest threat so that an in-depth discussion with the project steering committee can focus their input. Reporting the risk also helps the project managers keep track of every activity, which provide an accountability platform. Third, link the possibility of each risk with its impact. Each risk can contribute to a low, medium, or high impact. As a team, you can develop a probability matrix that measures the risk versus the impact. Such a matrix or an application will assist in decision making regarding the likelihood of risk compared to its effect to establish timely measures. Develop and cultivate response to the risk. By completing a project risk response strategy, you avert a potential threat from happening or minimizing the adverse effect should the problem be unavoidable. It is also prudent to regularly review and monitor the risks to ensure that opportunities to stop a potential threat are not missed. Fifth, have a contingency plan for each risk. In case a risk occurs, the team should have a quick and reliable contingency plan ready for action. The plan should neutralize or prevent further damage and prevent a continuation of a crisis. Bring all stakeholders into the planning and implementation of a contingency plan. A contingency plan should seek to answer the following questions. What should be done to reduce a likelihood of a risk? What should be done to manage risk if it occurs? What should be done to utilize effectively the opportunities brought about by a risk? 6. Record and track risks alongside their associated tasks. Recording the risks in terms of their associated task or process level helps the management track potential risks. It is important to record the identified risks in the risk register and store them in the project central server throughout the project. Because each task may have a different individual to monitor, it is easy to track each potential risk and develop a response. The records also allow the stakeholders to focus on the prevailing situation concerning the project progress. Now you know what are the different risks in an organization and how can we meditate them. Good luck with the next topic.
Hi, I'm Princess Villanueva and I'm going to report the organization of project participants.
Project Participants Organization in Construction Management.
The management of construction projects requires knowledge of modern management as well as understanding of the design and construction process. Construction projects have specific set of objectives and constraints such as a required time frame for completion. While the relevant technology, institutional arrangement, or process will differ, the management of such project has much in common with the management of similar types of projects in other specialty or technology domains such as aerospace, pharmaceutical, and energy developments. Generally, project management is distinguished from the general management of corporation by the mission-oriented nature of a project. A project organization will be generally terminated when the mission is accomplished. The top management of the owner sets the overall policy. Its policy will dictate how the project life cycle is divided among organizations and which professionals should be engaged. While decision by the top management of the owner will also influence the organization. For example, members of the top management team regularly make decisions that affect the future of the organization and all its stakeholders, such as deciding whether to pursue a new technology or a product line. A good decision can enable the organization to thrive and survive long term, while a poor decision can lead a business into bankruptcy. There are many ways to decompose a project into stages. The most typical ways are sequential processing, parallel processing, and staggered processing. The sequential processing, whereby the project is divided into separate stages and each stage is carried out successively in sequence. Parallel processing, whereby the project is divided into independent parts such that all stages are carried out simultaneously, while staggered processing, whereby the stages may be overlapping, such as the use of phase design construction procedures for fast-track operation. It should be pointed out that some decompositions may work out better than the others, depending on the circumstances. In any case, the prevalence of decomposition makes the subsequent integration particularly important. The critical issues involved in organization for project management are: how many organizations are involved? Are there 2, 3, or more organizations? This should be determined. What are the relationships among the organizations, and when are the various organizations brought into project? There are two basic approaches to organize for project implementation, even though many variation may exist as a result of different contractual relationships adopted by the owner and builder. These basic approaches are divided along the following lines: the separation of organization and integration of organization. The separation of organization: have numerous organizations serve as a consultants or contractors to the owner, with different organizations handling design and construction functions. Typical examples which involve different degrees of separation are traditional sequence of design and construction and professional construction management. The integration of organizations are single or joint venture consisting of a number of organizations with a single command undertakes both design and construction functions. Two extremes may be cited as example: the owner-builder operation, in which all work will be handled in-house by first account, and turnkey operation, in which all work is contracted to a vendor which is responsible for delivering the completed project. Since construction projects may be managed by a spectrum of participants in a variety of combinations, the organization for the management of such project may vary from case to case. On one extreme, each project may be staffed by existing personnel in the functional divisions of the organization on an ad hoc basis as shown in Figure 1 until the project is completed. This arrangement is referred to as matrix organization, as each project manager must negotiate all resources for the project from the existing organizational framework. The organization may consist of small central functional staff for the exclusive purpose of supporting various projects, each of which has its functional division as shown in Figure 2. This decentralized setup is referred to as the project-oriented organization, as each project manager has autonomy in managing the project. There are many variations of management style between these two extremes, depending on the objectives of the organization and the nature of the construction project. For example, a large chemical company with in-house staff for planning, design, and construction of facilities for new product lines will naturally adopt the matrix organization. On the other hand, a construction company whose existence depends entirely on the management of certain types of construction projects may find the project-oriented organization particularly attractive. While organizations may differ, the same basic principles of management structures are applicable to most situations. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority, by Kenneth Blanchard. Influence, unlike authority, means taking into consideration the people around and gearing them towards changes in an adaptive environment, while authority focuses on self-advancement. Influence develops the whole team's growth and each individual's value. Leaders should not only focus on what they think is right, but also listen to his people's thoughts. Authority can be associated with a person's rank or position, while influence is the underlying concept of his relationship with others. One becomes a successful leader not just by understanding the essence of his position, nor in doing whatever a leader has to do, but in immersing people towards his own knowledge and experiences, trusting in the team's potentials and leading them to accept changes and embrace challenges to come along the way.
That ends our discussion on construction project organization.
We hope you had fun learning this side of the engineering process in terms of managing a construction project. We hope we sufficiently discussed what you need to know.
Thank you for staying until the end. We hope you guys have nice takeaways from the presentation. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to raise them to us. Again, good afternoon.